Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I got some bangers for y'all. I got some classics for y'all today, and we gonna get into it. But first, before we do that, I'm gonna need y'all to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on your post notifications so when I drop these new uploads, you guys will be the first to see it. Now, today we got two classics, okay? Two classics. They're from a company called Franklin Mint. I know a lot of y'all are very familiar with the Franklin Mint company. You know, they no longer do die-cast cars anymore. I wish they still did, but they don't. They do specialize in coins and things like that. They do have other things under their belt, but the die-cast portion of their company has died out, so they no longer do die-cast anymore. But if you are lucky enough to be able to get a Franklin Mint die-cast from them, it's always nice to hold on to something like that, because they don't, you know, they don't come easy, and at the same time they're very expensive. So with that being said, I'm gonna put y'all on a tripod and we're gonna go ahead and check out these two classics. So what you see here is two classics, and I know you're probably thinking, like, wait a minute, they both kind of look alike. Are they both the same car? No, they're not the same car, but they almost look identically alike. Almost kind of like they're brothers of some sort, but they're not. Actually, in reality, this is, one is a Rolls-Royce and one is a Bentley. Okay, so of course you know which one the Rolls-Royce is. You know, the one with the grill, the silver one, as you can see, and then the green one is the Bentley. So if you guys are familiar with these came out in 1998, and if you're familiar with the Bentley and Rolls-Royce company back in the late 90s, you remember that these companies actually were one company together. So it was like when one car came out, the other one came out looking similar to each other. And I'm gonna show you guys a picture of what I'm talking about. If you remember the old square shaped Rolls-Royce from the early, late 80s, early 90s, they have a Rolls-Royce that looks similar to the Bentley, and I'm gonna show you the pictures here. Now you can see the Rolls-Royce, this big square-shaped Rolls-Royce. You can see this was actually one of my favorite Rolls-Royces of all time. I love this square body Rolls-Royce, especially when it had the big square headlight in the front. I love that Rolls-Royce there. Now let me show you the Bentley version of this. Now here's the Bentley version. So the Bentley version of this, as you can see, they almost look just alike, right? So that was the thing back then with them. They were both one company. So now that you've seen both the Rolls-Royce and the Bentley, now let's put them together and make it side by side, so you can actually see, or you know, one up or one down, so you can actually see the similarities in the two. Now you see them together and you see exactly what I was talking about as far as the similarities between the two. because this was a company that produced both Bentley and Rolls-Royce, a lot of their cars look similar and look very much alike. There were minor differences. It could have been as far as engine, cosmetic looks on the outside, maybe a few cosmetic looks on the inside, but for the most part, these cars were exactly alike. Other than those, they were exactly alike. So let me just give you a little bit of an overview. The 98 Bentley Arnage and Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph. Okay, so this is the Silver Seraph, that's the Arnage. They were closely related luxury cars developed on the same platform under Vickers ownership, but with distinct engines. So, the Silver Seraph had a BMW V12. Yes, we all know that Rolls-Royce is owned, by BMW. So, I think they've been owned by BMW for quite a while. So it has a BMW V12. This one had a BMW V12, while the Arnage used a BMW twin turbocharged V8. So now you see the differences here. See, this one had a V12. This one had a V8. See, so now you understand that even though they look exactly alike, they had their minor differences. Now you see this one had a different engine from that one. They represented new designs for their respective marques, debuting in early 1998 with updated styling and a focus on integrating modern technology while appealing to both traditional and new demographics. The subsequent acquisition of Rolls-Royce by BMW and Bentley by Volkswagen led to changes, with BMW discontinuing its V12 engine supply for the Rolls-Royce line and Volkswagen re-engineering the Bentley's V8. Okay, so now you see how that went. So subsequently, BMW ended up Rolls-Royce ended up going to BMW, while Bentley ended up going to Volkswagen. You see, so as far as the platform, let's look at that. It says both models were developed on a single platform, Project SXB, aimed at modernizing both marques and consolidating development efforts. The goal was to create an all-new, elegant, and stately car for Rolls-Royce, similar to its 1950s Silver Cloud, while the Bentley aimed for a more dynamic appearance. Then it says the Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph was unveiled at the 1998 Geneva Motor Show, followed by Bentley Arnage in April of the same year. You see what I'm saying? So, the Silver Seraph emphasized a stately, graceful, dignified presence with design cues from the Silver Cloud, while Bentley Arnage had a slightly less formal, truncated tail design with slimmer pillars and a less stately appearance. Now, Vickers ownership, both of their models were produced under Vickers, who was the owner of both marques then. Okay, so in 1998, after a complex legal battle, BMW acquired the rights to Rolls-Royce, while Volkswagen acquired Bentley and the Crew Factory. See, so once things started to hit a brick wall, both brands split up. They were both bought by different companies. Rolls-Royce by BMW, Bentley by Volkswagen. BMW stopped supplying the V12 engines for silver Seraph, leading to the discontinuation of the model. Volkswagen, dissatisfied with the BMW engine in the Arnage, later replaced it with a re-engineered version of Bentley's classic 6.75-liter twin-turbo V8. See, so they didn't want one thing for certain, two things for sure. Rolls-Royce did not want to continue using BMW's V12. While Bentley, on the other hand, just totally was dissatisfied with the BMW engine, period. And they wanted to make their own version. So, one thing for certain, two things for sure. Neither one of these companies wanted to have a BMW engine in their cars. So that right there was the cake on the icing. The icing on the cake, I'm sorry. So looking at these, like I said, they look exactly alike. They just had, slight differences, and the thing is, like I said, they both came out in 1998. They both were unveiled at the Geneva Motor Show. One just came out a couple of months before the other one did. So, I just feel like in that instant, I guess by them both being with the same company, you could probably see why they both kind of looked alike with different styling cues in such areas. Like, you can look at this one and just kind of see the similarities. First off, the body styles. The body styles are exactly the same. You can see that. The body styles are exactly the same. I mean, you can see the body style in the Rolls. I mean, look at the body style in that. Then you turn around and look at the body style in the Bentley. Same thing. So it wasn't much of a difference. Let's check out the rear. Look at the rear of the Bentley. Now, let's look at the rear of the Rolls-Royce. The same. Now, the only difference is, I'm going to tell you the only difference is the lights here. Now, what I'm going to say here is what happened with these rear lights here is that when I purchased this Rolls-Royce right here, it had a few missing parts. One being the reverse lights. It had one missing. So what I did with my creative mind is I took a set of tail lights that I had off of another car, and I liked the way the red kind of went in, the kind of, the way the red looks on here. It kind of gave it that European look. So I like the way the white came in on those tail lights that I had off of a junk car that I had. So I formed it and kind of formed it into the shape of the reverse lights using the molding of the one that I had on the back of this, and made some new reverse lights for it. And I just think these look so good because it gives it almost like a European look. So that's why these don't look like these. Otherwise, the originals would have looked like this over here. But because one was missing here and I did not have the other, I went on and made some reverse lights for it. But other than that, you could see that even the tail lights are exactly the same. So you could kind of see that on here. So there is really not much of a difference when you look at it. So now let's turn and look at the front of them. Okay, so let's look at the front. And as you can see here, if you look at the front, the tail lights, I mean, not the tail lights, the headlights looks exactly the same. The only difference that you have, the only difference, no, I won't even say that's the difference. The grills look the same. They're shaped exactly the same. The only difference is this one is the same color as the car. And it has like a crossover type design in the grill, where this one over here, you just have straight vertical lines and the chrome, the signature Rolls-Royce grill. You know what I'm saying? So that's the difference. This is all chrome with the vertical lines. So this one has like the crossover lines, crossover. But that's the only difference. And this one also had a metal or like a chrome piece coming across the middle of the hood, where this one didn't. So that's another difference. And I would say another difference between the two are the wheels. And as you can see, this Rolls-Royce has classic Rolls-Royce wheels. As you can see right there, classic Rolls-Royce wheels. You can see the double R on it. Classic Rolls-Royce, as always. But with the Bentley, you have the classic Bentley wheels. So those wheels are different. You see, these are aluminum wheels, where the Rolls-Royce has the chrome. You see what I'm saying? And it has the white walls. So by this one being more of like it said in the overview, that this one was more of a stately car. Now, with Rolls-Royce being, as you all know, the top of the line in luxury, the top of the line in looks and everything, but being as though that at one point these two were working under the exact same roof, then a lot of this stuff, was looking exactly the same, like they were twins. You know what I mean? So let's also look at this. Now, if you can see right here on the back here by the window, you can see there is a Rolls-Royce emblem right there towards the let me back it up some. Right there, you can see right there, there's a Rolls-Royce emblem right there next to the gas tank. And let's see, on the Bentley, we do have something there. That is a B right there. Can't really see it, but okay, there it is. You can see it a little bit because it's so small. It's very small. But you can see the B right there in between the gas tank and the window. Also, as you can see with the windows too, it has the chrome going around the windows here. You can see the same thing on the Rolls-Royce. Let's check out the interior. Now, the one thing I can say about Franklin Mint is that I love what they do with these cars. Now, if you're a Franklin Mint owner, you know that Franklin Mint makes their cars with an excessive amount of weight. Now, when you pick up these cars are heavy. These cars are not like the typical 124 that you will buy from brands like Maisto or Motormax or Barago or things, or those companies, Welly. Those cars does not pale in comparison in weight to what Franklin Mint brings to the table. When you got a Franklin Mint when your car weighs a ton. Like, you could pick up a Franklin Mint and know you got a Franklin Mint just by how heavy it is. And another thing that also lets you know that you have a Franklin Mint is when you go into the interior and you look down at the floor, and when you feel on the floor, the carpet, you can feel like the velour on the floor. Like, you can feel it feels carpeted on the floor. That is another signature thing that they do with their vehicles, is that they add those carpeted rugs that feels like carpet. It looks like carpet and it feels like carpet. And that's one thing I do like about what Franklin Mint brings to the table. And you can see on the interior of this Rolls, you can see all of that wood grain on the inside. I mean, running up the whole center console, running all the way across the front of that dashboard. That is nothing but wood grain. And we all know that this is what Rolls-Royce specializes in. A lot of their cars is known for having that very exotic wood grain. This is not the type of wood grain that you would is considered like that plastic, that fake wood grain. No, Rolls-Royce, their wood grain is very special. They do their thing in a special way. A lot of you got to understand, Rolls-Royce cars are handcrafted. These seats are handcrafted. Like, people literally sit in and do this. They handcraft this stuff. This is not widely manufactured stuff. Like, this stuff is literally handcrafted from people who literally sit down and take their time and do an exquisite job on these cars, because these are the top of the line. That's why you pay so much money for them, because these cars are handcrafted. These cars are put together by hand. Okay, so that is the difference between Rolls-Royce and everybody else. And you can look on the door there. You can also see the wood grain on the doors. That's just how Rolls-Royce, that's how they roll. They don't play no games. They don't play around. This is what they do. I'm lucky to have this. I found this silver Seraph on eBay. Now, if you look through the back door there, you can also see there is wood grain behind the back seats there. You can see on the center console right there in the back for the passengers, there's wood grain there. Like, it's totally exquisite. This is what Rolls-Royce does. This is their MO. This is how they make a statement. This is how they let you know that they have the top of the line in luxury. This is what they do. They specialize in things like this. They don't play no games. That's why you pay the money that you pay. That is why you pay for that. You pay for Rolls-Royce. You paying for the double R. You understand me? That double R is not a game. Okay? So we open up the trunk here. And as you can also see, it is very carpeted on the inside. That is another benchmark of what they bring to the table. Franklin Mint, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Rolls-Royce. I mean, even though Rolls-Royce does this, but I'm just talking about Franklin Mint and specifically what they bring to a table. This is another benchmark of what they do. They carpeted the trunk area, as you can see. Very nice. I love what Franklin Mint does to their models. They take precautions and they definitely pay attention to detail. Very much pay attention to detail. I love what they do, and that's why these cars are so heavy. That's why they got so much weight to them. These are not like your regular schmegular cars. And let's look under the hood here. Now remember when we were talking about the silver Seraph having the V12? There it is right there. There's your V12. As you can see the 6 cylinders on each side. That's your V12 right there. That's that BMW V12 that was inserted into this Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph. This is what they put in here. So you could see. Like, this is a beautiful thing. I love the attention to detail here all over under this hood. Like, you can see like notices here. Like, you can see warning labels and things like that up under here. Like, this is what you call exquisite attention to detail. That engine is very detailed. You know, this is what I like about the Rolls-Royce. This is what I like about what they did. Franklin Mint, this is what they do. This is how they take care of their cars. This is what they do. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the Spirit of Ecstasy. It is very hard to find a Spirit of Ecstasy online. Like, I can't find one. Unfortunately, this Rolls-Royce, when I purchased it, it did not have the Spirit of Ecstasy attached to it. Like, I do have a way of acquiring one, but that is going to require me to actually buy a brand new one. There is a Rolls-Royce that AliExpress sells where it comes with an extra Spirit of Ecstasy in the trunk. So I'm going to show you guys which Rolls-Royce I'm talking about. It's this one here. This Rolls-Royce here. If you guys have this Rolls-Royce, then you know what I'm talking about. Now, this Rolls-Royce has a Spirit of Ecstasy under here. But what a lot of people probably don't know, that when you open up the trunk here, right here in the center where that little black piece is, there is an extra Spirit of Ecstasy that sits right there. So just in case you lose the one that your car currently has, they give you an extra one for precautions. So you get an extra one. That's what I like about it. So that is another way to acquire a Spirit of Ecstasy. I just buy another one of these as an extra, maybe, you know, I buy it as a junk car. You know, even though it's brand new, I can just buy it as a junk car since I already have one of these, and just use the Spirit of Ecstasy and use the other Rolls-Royce for parts or whatever, just in case I lose something on one of these or one of my other Rolls-Royces. I can use strictly for parts. And I can definitely take the Spirit of Ecstasy, the extra one, and put it on this 98. So that is also a way I can acquire another Spirit of Ecstasy. So there you have it with the Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph. As you can see, the front right there. Classic Rolls-Royce. As you can see, So we're going to put that in the background. Now let's check out its twin, the Bentley Arnage. Now you can see with the Bentley Arnage, it's a little different. Now you can see this one has the it has a grill, but you can see the grill is actually the same color as the car. So it takes this part right here off the table. Since Rolls-Royce uses this part right here as their signature, the only grill they have is this coming across here. And also, as you can see on top, it has the B on there with the wings on top of the grill right there. You also can see that. Now let's check out the inside of this one, because the inside of this one is a little bit different because the color of the inside is different. I really like this white interior. This white interior is hitting on all cylinders right here. I like the black touch up on the white seats. I think that is awesome. I really like the black look. I mean the look of the black accent on the white seats. I like that. I like that touch. You can see also the green floor, the green carpeted floor inside of this Arnage. So let's look in this one. Now, as you can see, the wood grain does not go all the way across like the Rolls-Royce, because the Rolls-Royce is the top dog. So the Bentley is not going to have as much of the same features as the Rolls-Royce, because the Rolls-Royce is, in fact, the top dog. But you can see that the center console also has wood grain, but it stops at a certain point. It does not run across the top of the dashboard. As you can see, it does not run across the front of the dashboard. You see the dashboard is white like the rest of the interior. So the wood grain does stop at a certain point, but it does allow you to have wood grain in the car because it is a Bentley after all. Now, as you can see in the Bentley, this one also has wood grain on the door panels as well. Same with the Rolls-Royce. It had the same thing. But, okay, now let's look in the back. Now, as you can see, the only wood grain you see right there is the center console right there behind the two front seats. Now, remember in the Rolls-Royce, there was a wood panel on the back of the front driver and passenger seat. You see, this one does not have it. So, like I said, you're not going to have as many features inside this Bentley as you will a Rolls-Royce. But look at the carpeted floor, though. Like I said, this is a benchmark of what Franklin Mint does. Like you feel it. It literally feels like a carpet in there, you know? And that's what I like about what they did here, is they specifically put carpet on this floor. It looks really good. And then look at the buttons on the side of the seats here for movement and control of your seats, to be able to set it the way you want to set it. I love the attention to detail there. That's also cool. Now let's go to the back trunk. Oh, also, as you can see, it does have a Bentley logo on the back there. And this one actually comes with a license plate. So let's look back here. Let's look under. And as you can see, this one also has carpet in the back. Now, it also, you can see Bentley also has an extra piece here that the Rolls-Royce did not have. The Rolls-Royce did not have an extra piece right here. But you can see the Bentley actually has an extra piece right here that runs across the trunk line in the back. Okay, so we have that. Now, let's look under the hood of this one and see what this looks like. Ah, now look at the difference. See, this one is different. Now you saw in the Rolls, that one had a V12. Now this one, not so much. This one has a V8. As we discussed in the overview, that the Bentley had a BMW twin turbo V8, while the Rolls had a V12. So both engines are supplied by BMW. So you can see the difference in the engines. So this is a V8 that was supplied by BMW, because remember, BMW at one point owned both Rolls-Royce and Bentley until the split up happened and they were acquired by two different companies. But you can see, even with this V8, there's still a lot of attention to detail in the two. You see, same thing. You can see all the warning labels in here and everything, all the detail on the hood, on the engine covers and everything. There's another warning label right there. And you can even see the screws right here on the edges here to show you just how detailed this engine is. Like, look at that. Like, this is why I like Franklin Mint. I have another Rolls-Royce of this caliber from Franklin Mint as well. You guys will probably see it on another episode sometime down the line. But these were, now I will say this. So for these two, I actually had to add some stuff to it because there were some things missing on both the Rolls-Royce and the Bentley. Now, as far as the Bentley goes, the Bentley did not have side mirrors, but as you can see, I've added mirrors to it, and now it has mirrors, you know, and I painted it the same color as the car, and that's what I love about it. Same thing with the Rolls. The mirrors were missing. I found mirrors for it, so I added the mirrors to it, and that also has mirrors. So I'm down for being able to add something to my cars whenever they don't have it. You know, I'm always trying to find something to substitute, something that I could put there to substitute for it so that it feels whole, you know. And I really enjoy having both of these. I love having these. You know, I've kind of gotten a liking for these type of models, especially with the weight of them. Like they are heavy. Like they are heavy compared to the typical 124 scale model that you would buy from regular companies, like I mentioned earlier. But Franklin Mint, they do an awesome job. Like they're very particular about their models. They're very detailed, down to a T. When you have carpeted floors in your cars, that just says something about you. These remind me almost of like Auto Art. Well, Auto Art does the same thing. They're very particular about their vehicles, and they do those to a T. The only thing about Auto Art is, you know, they come in 1/18 scale. They don't specialize in 124, which is a bummer. You know, I wish they would, but they don't. So, you know, Franklin Mint is probably the closest that I can get to getting upscale detail in 124 scale. But yes, so ladies and gentlemen, these are my twins, the 1998, both of them of 1998, the 1998 Bentley Arnage and the 1998 Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph. So, you guys got a chance to see both my Rolls-Royce Silver Seraph and my Bentley Arnage. I'd like you to go down in the comments and tell me which one you like better. You know, I know they're both twins, and they both have a little bit of distinct features that are, you know, that kind of separate one from the other. And truth be told, you know, the only way you distinguish the Rolls-Royce in that year from the Bentley of that year is the fact that the Rolls-Royce has the big chrome grille, you know, so you can't miss that. But other than that, do you like the Rolls-Royce better from that year, or did you like the Bentley Arnage from that year? And, you know, you tell me in the comments which one you think looked better, which one would you have taken if you were given a choice of the two? You know, which one would you have taken? And let me know in the comments also, you know, do you have these, you know, or do you have any other Franklin Mints, you know, of note that you may have in your collection? But let me know in the comments. So there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, those are my two twins. So now I'm going to let you guys go. So remember, stay healthy, stay prayed up, and stay safe, guys. And I will see you next time.
But I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no.